Hey guys, Mike from Magnanimous, and we're back live from Studio One for another build of the day. If you guys are new to this series, this is a new thing that we're doing every day, Monday through Friday in the afternoon, where we're going to be live streaming from Studio One and highlighting a full camera build. And we'll take a moment to break down and talk about each individual item and its virtues and why it's incorporated into this build. And then we'll build it up together and go through how it all fits together and what exactly we'd be using that build for. If you guys have questions along the way, please just comment below. We'll take a moment at the end of the video to answer any questions that you guys may have. Also, if there's gear that you're interested in, please let me know. Comment below. I'd love to incorporate that into builds down the line to highlight the gear that you guys are interested in. Without further ado, let's talk about what we've got for today. To start, we're going to be looking at the Sony FX9, and we've done a lot of run and gun builds, handheld rigs this week, so I really wanted to go back into the studio and do a full tripod build, something a little bit beefier that it's not quite as portable, but it'll be great for a sit-down interview. And the FX9 is going to be the core of that. This is a new cinema camera from Sony, which features a 6K full-frame sensor, capable of shooting 4K, 10-bit, up to 60 frames a second. So you're going to get a lot of quality out of that. Also has a few built-in features that make it really, really great for broadcast and documentary stuff. Namely, the ND that's built into it is a new high-end variable ND, which allows you to truly dial in how much reduction you're needing in that exposure. It also has a new color space, which is called S-Cinetone. It's aimed to maintain rich poppy colors so that you could go direct from camera to a platform or source and not have to worry about color grading, but it still maintains a good amount of latitude so that if you take it into post-production, you can still make adjustments and dial in exactly what you need. In addition to that, it has a dual native ISO with a really nice range. You'll have a native 800 ISO or can switch to a native 4000 ISO to gain better low light performance and the like. Shooting in its S-Log3, you'll render 15 plus stops of dynamic range, so you'll have a lot of information there to work with as well. And it's really going to be an ideal camera for an interview setup or something like that, like we're going to do today. To pair with it, we're going to run the V-Lock expander. So this will attach to the back of the camera. Currently, it is fairly limited in the capabilities that it has. Eventually, it's going to unlock a few additional recording options and things like that, but that'll come down the line. For now, we're using it to have a larger brick battery on the back, so we just maintain better camera power. And then it has a P-tap output right on the side here to power accessories. So today, we're going to be pairing the Small HD 702 monitor, which is this guy right here. And this is a really great 1080p 7-inch onboard monitor. You'll notice it's very, very thin, so it's small and lightweight. Pairs still really well with shoulder rigs and things like that. But for today, we'll use it to offload our viewing behind the camera so that I can still be behind and adjust things as needed. And it has my favorite UI out of any onboard monitors that we carry because it functions in a page system. So you can set up a lot of different options across various pages and quickly swap between them, which makes looking at, exposure meters and a clean output and a LUT on one a lot easier and seamless to just switch between all of those. So a super useful piece to have. Then for our glass today, we're going to be shooting with the Leica Summicron 75mm. And this is a awesome lens for interviews because that 75mm focal length means that we'll be slightly telephoto. We'll get a nice compression in our image, which will separate our subject from the background very easily because it's still a nice T2 throughout the whole set. So we're going to be rendering really good color with it. It is a color neutral lens where, like, I talk about the C&Es being warm and the Zeiss CP2s being cool. The Leica Summicrons aim to split right down the middle to be color neutral, so you're not going to swing too far, making it a very versatile lens. And then it is tack sharp throughout its entire vision range. Normally with any lens, you're going to start seeing some edge softnesses as you navigate away from the center. And with these guys, you really don't get any of that. It's going to be tack sharp edge to edge, and I found them super, super reliable for that. We are going to run through a Mattebox today because I want to throw a creative filter in front. So we're going to be using the ARRI MMB1 Mattebox here, which is an awesome lightweight matte box which finds a good balance between capabilities and portability. It's light enough that we could take the front shade off of here and pair it with like a Movi Pro or something like that if you needed to fly with indies or a creative filter or something like that. But it still has two matte box stages, which allows us to double stack filters if we need to. I've created variable NDs in this by stacking polarizers or just stacking creative filters. We're going to be using what's called a Black Pro Mist today, and it's going to be a quarter strength. So anytime you're talking about creative filters, you're going to refer to the strength of those, and they typically start at or around eighth, and then you'll go quarter, half, 1, 2, and 3. The quarter Black Pro Mist works to kind of even out your highlights. It gives you a little bit of a haze, but you're going to get a much smoother roll off with those, and just helps to make the skin tones a lot more pleasing, especially for an interview setup like we're doing today. So we'll run that into our front stage right up front here so that we have that nice color there. Then one thing that I don't think gets talked about enough, certainly don't talk a lot about it, is audio. So anytime you're going to be doing an interview, audio obviously is very, very critical because you're going to want to record all of that. And I'll just throw the caveat out there, I am definitely not an audio engineer. I'm sure there's going to be people out there who will say they have a better setup for something like this, and there's definitely going to be a way to build it up to have the best possible quality. But from my experience, I've done tons of interviews where it's just me and my camera, and I need to have the best audio I can while maintaining everything in one area for control. And for that, I've found this method to be the most effective. We're going to be running a shotgun mic, which is our Sennheiser MKE 416 shotgun mic, and it's a great directional mic that we're going to be able to run off of a boom pole, and then we'll pair it with this boom pole holder here, which is going to mount to a C-stand. That way we can actually arm our shotgun mic out and get a good directional pickup with it without me having to hold the boom pole and direct it as the interview's being conducted. In addition to that, I always like to run a second source for audio. So we will be running the Sennheiser G4 lav mic, which I've found to be the best mic for a streamlined audio setup. It's simple, quick, and easy to use, but really, really reliable. And so we'll pair this, have that lav pickup. You know, in an ideal world, one single lav is going to be enough, and you wouldn't need a second source in any way. But I like to have the shotgun there as an option. As a second pickup, we can mix between the two if we need to, or if my lav mic were to fail or something like that, I have it as a safety backup to go to. And then on the back, we'll have everything powering off of our Anton Bauer Cine V-Mount 150 here. It's just a nice, good watt hour, so it's going to power everything really easily. And then since we're routing accessory power through it as well, I'm able to just switch one battery all day and not have to worry about switching batteries on my monitor and my camera and going back and forth between everything. That concludes all the items that we're going to be using, so why don't we actually get into the build of it all, and we'll start going through all of that. So we'll step over here. I've preemptively removed the shoulder pad plate from the bottom of our FX9 here because if we don't, it just isn't going to fit right. So we can then go ahead and mount this up here. flat heads down here. Once we've got that secured, we'll go ahead and throw our camera monitor on. This will be good just so we can monitor record times, battery power, things like that, change all our camera settings and everything. We can adjust its exact positioning after we get it up on the tripod. For now, we're just looking to get it on camera, out of the way, so we can keep building everything. The Leica Summicron, of course, is a PL mount, and our camera's an E mount, so we're going to have to adapt that. We're going to be using the Mattebox PL to E mount adapter. And the FX9 utilizes a locking E mount. So instead of twist locking, we'll just pop our release up, rotate over, our cap will pop out, and then we'll just drop our mount straight down and lock it down in place. Our Leica Summicron is then going to drop in front, so we'll do the same thing. And secure him like so. While I've got this up, we'll go ahead and pop our rails in. We'll use this for our Mattebox as well as our follow focus, as we are going to run the ARRI MFF2 follow focus again today so that we can pull our focus a little easier instead of having to do it right from the barrel. Then let's go ahead and throw our expansion unit on the back. It attaches, so you'll have to remove the top cover here, which I went ahead and already did to streamline things, and it'll mount very much like a battery would. So you'll pop it in and it'll drop down, and then you'll secure it down with these 2 thumb screws right on the top. That's about it that I like to do off of tripod. The rest I've found is easier to attach once it's actually up on tripod. So let's go ahead and put our tripod plate onto our VCT here, and we can go up on our tripod. Great, so we'll pop our VCT on first, and then our camera comes second. Now attaching this is fairly quick and simple, but you really are looking for this like V-lock right up here, and this small little latch in the back to both meet. So we're just going to set it down, make sure both of those are connected, and then you'll hear it snap into place. It's nice and secure there. Now we can go ahead and keep attaching some stuff to it. Let's go ahead and throw our monitor on. We have an articulating arm here, and I'm running that into a cold shoe mount so that we can mount in the back of our camera. So I'm going to go ahead and just thread this on. And we'll secure that down. Then we're going to need to power it, so we are going to run a small dummy battery and a P-tap cable back to the back of that expander. So this looks like an LP6 battery, but it has a small LEMO connection there, so we can just plug that in, and then we'll run that P-tap into the back. This can mount just like a battery would. Helps if you mount your battery in the right direction. There we go. And we'll just run our cable down. I do like to always have some twist ties on hand to help manage cable. In this case, I don't have any, so I'm going to use my top handle here, and I'm just going to pull some of my excess cable around there just to keep it managed so it's not dangling out everywhere and getting in the way. And then we'll pop that in for power. Positioning this monitor is going to really be up to you and your setup and where you're going to feel comfortable with it. I'm going to run my follow focus on the right side of camera here. So I'm going to have my monitor towards the back and just slightly turn towards that right side so that I can easily see when I'm in the back of camera here operating. Now my follow focus will attach. I've preemptively set which side I want my gear on. We talked about it yesterday, but in case you weren't viewing that stream, everything on this follow focus is very adaptable. I can relocate my gear. If the thumb knob here is on the wrong side, I can switch it to the other side. It's very adaptable for your specific build. So I wanted it on the right side, but I wanted it far enough back that my Mattebox still sat well. So you'll see once I get this up on the rails, that now my gear is going to sit with the rest of my follow focus behind. If I had it on the other side, it would be a little bit too front sitting, so my Mattebox wouldn't mount properly. So I'm going to scoot that back a little bit. And we'll go ahead and secure that guy in place. Now, our Mattebox has a reduction ring. It's this small plastic piece here, and we've grabbed the proper size for the Leicas, which are a 95mm front diameter, so that our Mattebox is going to be able to fully secure around it. If you have a lens of a different size and you're wanting to use the Mattebox, you still can. You just may need to use a donut of some kind, or some gaff tape or something like that so that everything properly mounts together. Get him connected and secure him down. And then we'll go ahead and run our filter through. So I'm going to go ahead and take my filter tray out. This is a 4x5/6 filter, which refers to the size of the glass. And when you're grabbing those, you want to make sure that you're grabbing it from the edges. Otherwise, your fingerprints are going to smudge the front of the glass. And I'm just going to feed in my edge here. Some filters will list a specific direction that you should shoot through. Polarizers, for instance, should only ever be ran in one given direction. Otherwise, it doesn't accomplish what it's trying to do. Our Pro Mist here is a little bit more versatile. We can run it in either direction and it'll be fine. We'll pop that in and then we'll secure with the lock knob there, which locks it in place and makes sure it's not going to move on us. From here now, we're just going to throw our brick battery on the back so that everything has power. And we'll need to go ahead and start setting up our audio. So our G4 is going to pair through the 3-pin XLR. I'm going to run that as channel 1, and I'm going to make sure that I'm not running what's called phantom power or plus 48V. The G4 Lav Kit powers off of 2 internal AA batteries, so we won't want to be sending power through the XLR. Otherwise, it can result in noise or something like that in our recording. You may want to adjust levels manually while you're recording, but I've found that most modern cinema cameras have a very reliable auto level so that I can maintain on asking questions as an interviewer or pulling focus or something like that, and I don't have to worry about monitoring my audio levels. So we can go ahead and set those here. I'm going to make sure everything's set to auto, and then I'm going to set both of my mics to external, so it's pulling through those XLR inputs. We could pull our levels manually here. We would use those dials. Since we're doing auto, they won't accomplish anything, so we can leave those be. Now for the shotgun mic. We have a boom pole here. And before I start messing with that, we'll want to set up our C-stand with the boom pole holder. So I've got a small short C-stand here, and our boom pole holder is going to mount right on top. There we go. I like to give this a slight back tilt just so that I can get a little bit better angle with everything, but its exact position is going to be determined by how you're setting everything up. I'm going to drop it in place there, and it'll keep it resting really nicely there so we can attach our shotgun mic to the front of it. And we're just going to thread this on. And then plug in our XLR. And you would want to direct this at your subject's mouth because you're wanting it to be as directionally toward where your sound pickup is going. And we may need to extend this farther out. The nice thing with the boom pole holder is it keeps it all nice and secure, so I could arm this out much further and get it around camera. It'll stay out of our frame, but would still have a really good directional pickup there. The last thing we'll need is just a XLR cable to run from our mic to our camera, and we're going to run it into channel 2. That one is going to need that phantom power that we talked about because the 416 shotgun mic does not have any internal power, so we're going to send it power through the XLR cable to ensure that everything is running properly. I'll flip around so you guys can see my audio inputs on the side here. And so this here is your plus 48V, my input 2, and then input 1, the blue one here, I have it set to just mic input 1. And that's going to give us that good quality pickup there. And yeah, from here would just really be about framing, lining everything up, and then doing an audio check with your subject to make sure that all your signals are going through. Naturally, you'll want to adjust the positioning of everything to make sure it's good, but in this sense, I would have already set camera settings, and as we're shooting, I can stand back here to operate. I can still see my other monitor here with setting adjustments if I needed, and I could play with its position, but I'll still be able to pull all my focus from back here and have everything be right in front of me off of my 702 monitor here. This setup is fairly quick and easy, even though it looks a little big and beefy once it gets on camera. Set it up in less than 20 minutes. So if you guys are wanting to check it out, don't be intimidated. Even though it looks big, it's definitely something you can accomplish as well. That'll conclude our build for today. Was there any questions or anything that we had come up?
We had people interested in shooting anamorphic with it?
As of now, I don't believe it supports any internal anamorphic codec. It could be accomplished, but it's going to result in a much lengthier post process because you're going to need to de-squeeze in post. And I found that it's just not as reliable for good quality anamorphic. I would recommend shooting with a camera that supports an internal 4:3 recording mode. Out of what we carry currently that supports that is the GH5 on your lower end. You could adapt PL to micro 4/3. On the higher end, we'll have all of our reds except the Red Raven will support internal D-squeeze. The ARRI Alexa Mini will support anamorphic D-squeeze, and then I believe the C500 Mark II also has an internal D-squeeze. Maybe that'll be a setup we look at next week. We can look at some of our Atlas Orion anamorphics paired with the Canon C500 Mark II and see how they'll pair together with that. If you guys have other questions that come up, please comment below. We can address those down the line in the future. As well as if you want to do any live streaming, we're streaming live from Studio One, and we have a partner called PerfectCircle.pro who can hook you up with an operator as well as gear and will come to set to help you live stream and set everything up to make your life much easier with it. If there's other gear that you guys want to see, comment below and let me know of it. Otherwise, that's all we have for today, and I'll see you guys next week.